So Roma's calm, immediate rescue of 4 intoxicated students from a dangerous club prevented harm, demonstrating decisive teacher responsibility. Empathetic guidance, Roma guided the students' safe exit with clear, empowering instructions. Hold your head high rather than scolding, building trust and respect. Collaborative resolution, the school's mature response, a private meeting with only Roma and the counselor protected the students from intimidation and focused on support. AI for professional growth, Sandeep introduced an AI assistant to generate summaries and allow teachers to ask questions about their own contributions, promoting self reflection. The topics were teacher reflections and context. The session began with a reflection from Sunita Tripathi on the like versus unlike chapter. Sunita's experience of problem was peer pressure led to mocking, causing emotional distress among students. Solution, she used her calm dialogue to explain the difference between between joking and insulting. A class discussion and group activity on positive words transformed the atmosphere. Lesson on patience and positive guidance are crucial for helping adolescents learn from mistakes. Related book session, Sandeep promoted the Thursday 5:30 p.m. session for Every Last Girl by Safina Hussain, who covers the Educate Girls initiative. And chapter 6, the one we are on right now, right versus wrong, Roma received. Okay, this is the chapter that we just read the takeaways from, and this is the proceeding of the chapter, of the events that happened in that particular chapter. So Roma received a panicked call from student Rupa. 4 girls, Rupa, Simmi, Supriya, Patricia, were at Club Paradise. Simmi was heavily intoxicated from beer and a neat vodka shot. Roma immediately drove to the club with her father, Sunil. She entered the smoky, crowded club alone to find the girls. She gave clear, empowering instructions for their exit. Keep your back straight, hold your head high. When a man grabbed Simi, Roma, a black belt, punched him to create an escape route. The girls were then driven home. Simi stayed at Roma's house. Simi's home situation, separated parents, caregiver only, was revealed as a potential factor. Roma informed the girls that their parents would be contacted, framing it as support rather than punishment. School's mature handling, the principal arranged a private meeting with only Roma and the counselor, Uttara, to avoid intimidating the parents. Right? So
That's okay, Brinda. Should I remove this now?
Yeah, please. So this was the takeaway as well as a summary of the chapter that we read last Saturday. And we are now moving into the next chapter. Good afternoon, everybody who has just joined us. हमारे सारे participants आ गए हैं मुझे लगता है जो यूजुअली सैटरडे आफ्टरनून्स को हमारे साथ होते हैं. मुझे अच्छा लगता है ये देखना कि सुनीता, सरोज, गुलाबी, आप लोग बिल्कुल टाइम से आ जाती हैं और अपना महत्वपूर्ण कंट्रीब्यूशन भी करती हैं, जिससे कि हमें लगता है कि हम कुछ यहाँ से पढ़कर अपने साथ भी ले जा रहे हैं और अपने क्लासेस में भी इसका प्रयोग कर रहे हैं जो हमने यहाँ से सीखा है. उत्तरा का इस सब चैप्टर में होना बहुत बहुत महत्वपूर्ण एक कारण है, और वो कारण ये है कि उत्तरा स्कूल की काउंसलर है और वो बाकी टीचर्स के साथ स्टाफ रूम में अक्सर इस बात पर डिस्कशन करती हैं कि बच्चों को, पर्टिकुलरली एडोलेसेंट बच्चों को किस तरह से हैंडल करना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो बच्चों की ग्रोथ का स्टेज होता है उसमें एडोलेसेंट स्टेज जो है वो सबसे ज्यादा कठिन होता है. तो ये वाला जो स्टेज है इसको टीचर्स को, एडोलेसेंट्स को संभालने में बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है. तो किस तरह से ये समझाती हैं टीचर्स को, वो हम देखेंगे यहाँ पे, और इससे हमें बहुत बहुत शिक्षा मिलेगी. तो वी विल स्टार्ट with this now. And why is my picture coming on the text also, Sneha? Is there a problem? You'll probably have to move it out of your way. I can, of course, read from my text. If you can zoom yours for others to see, it would be good. I have the text right in front of me, so I should be able to read this from here. If you give us the main bookmark.
Ma'am, it's
Okay.
page 91.
Page 91.
Ma'am, I'm having difficulty with the tab because the screen is like still showing. Your picture
No,
is
it
still
can't be
showing.
91 in the textbook. It should be in the next chapter, right versus wrong. So, 1 minute. We'll just look up the bookmark. You will get give me the paragraph from where it started, Sneha. Because I don't want to start it from a wrong place.
Ma'am, well, I caught Simmi and Supriya reading too like.
Sneha, should I start in the screen if you have a challenge?
Okay, I'm going to take it from here since we are all familiar with this thing. Can you hear me? So then Roma called Uttara. I'll take it from there. On Wednesday morning, the parents of all 4 girls were called in. They had waited for Simmi's mother to return from Hong Kong. It was decided by the principal that the meeting would be attended only by the counselor and Roma so that the parents did not feel intimidated. When Roma reached the counselor's office after her history class, everyone was already waiting for her. Good morning, madam. First of all, we must thank you for taking care of our foolish children on Saturday afternoon. Patricia's mother spoke as soon as Roma took her seat in Uttara's small cabin. Though it was small, ideally suited to 3 or 4 people, it was bright and cozy. With comfortable chairs, a neatly organized table, and plenty of feel-good pictures on the wall. A sheaf of papers, post-its, glue sticks, color pens, and pencils sat on the table. We also owe thanks to Mr. Mathur, as well as an apology for the running around he had to do for our children. Supriya explained everything when she got back, the lady in a black sari remarked. It was nothing, Mrs. Rathore. Roma smiled at Supriya's mother.
Brinda, do you get the
Yes,
screen now?
yes, I do.
Yeah, so I've got it. So it's caught up with you. Priya's mother is the last word on the
That's
right-hand
right.
page.
It was nothing, Mrs. Rathore. Roma smiled at Supriya's mother. That's not true, Miss Roma. It was certainly not nothing. You did a wonderful job. We shall remain obliged to you for life, for saving our senseless fools and removing them from such a dangerous situation, Mr. Gairola, Rupa's father, said. We are all here to help our children, Uttara said, glad the meeting had started on such a positive note. Ma'am, it's shameful the way Simi behaved. Mrs. Sondi finally spoke, gathering her courage. She knew her daughter had been the main culprit. Mrs. Sondi, please don't think that, Roma answered, feeling sorry for Simi's mother. Roma is right. You don't have to be ashamed about anything. They are teenagers. They make mistakes as they grow up, stated Uttara. Mistakes of this kind can have serious consequences, madam. Rupa is a sensible child, and I am finding it difficult to believe she did something so senseless, said Mr. Gairola, his disappointment written large on his face. Mr. Gairola, teenagers do not react sensibly to situations and temptations every single time. We need to accept that. As adults, our reaction to temptation tends to be more rational and intellectual, while teens react from the gut. This is the reason for the senseless behavior you are referring to, Uttara explained. Rupa is an average student, but she has wonderful qualities. She captains the basketball team and volunteers at a shelter for orphans near our house. It is bewildering to see her so accomplished, so responsible, and so reckless all at the same time. What are the reasons for so many contradictions in one person? Rupa's father asked, shaking his head at the startling contradictions in his much loved daughter. So you see, as I told you, Uttara's character in the book has been framed in such a way that she's part of the story. She's not giving lectures or sermonizing us on child psychology, but at the same time, she's giving us very important lessons on children, on understanding the psychology of teenagers, of adolescents, and how to actually understand them. So she is telling the parents here what they should do. कैसे इन बच्चों को समझना चाहिए, और जब इन बच्चों के पेरेंट्स बड़े शर्मिंदगी से बात करते हैं यहाँ पे, तो उत्तरा उनको समझाती है कि टीनेजर्स जो हैं वो अपने दिमाग से सोच के हर समय काम नहीं करते हैं. कभी कभी वो अपने दिमाग से ना सोच कर ऐसे ही अपने दिल की बात को मानकर वो काम करते हैं, और इस वजह से बिकॉज दे हैव नॉट थॉट थ्रू देयर हेड, क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने दिमाग का उपयोग नहीं किया है, प्रयोग नहीं किया है, वो गलतियां कर बैठती हैं, और हमें ये समझना चाहिए. तो रूपा के पिताजी उत्तरा से एक प्रश्न पूछ रहे हैं और उसको ये भी बता रहे हैं कि रूपा में बहुत सारे ऐसे क्वालिटीज है जिससे कि पता लगता है कि वो होनहार है, रेस्पॉन्सिबल है, टैलेंटेड है, लेकिन फिर भी कैसे ऐसे होता है कि वो ऐसे बचकाने गलत काम भी कर बैठती है. तब उत्तरा क्या समझाती है, हम आगे पढ़ते हैं. The science of brain development in teens is the reason for this mystifying contradiction, Mr. Gairola, Uttara answered. Brain development? They are teenagers, almost grown up, studying in class 10th, ma'am. They are going to appear for board exams in a few months. What can be wrong with their brains? Mrs. Rathod asked in confusion. So I think teachers, you should all know that brain science, or the science of understanding how the brain works, is a constant study in progress. And every day there is a new research, and every day there is a new finding. And brain is one organ in the human body that keeps its cells are constantly growing, and it adapts itself to various situations as per the need. So here we are, Uttara is trying to explain to this parent that because they are in class 10th, Because they're going to take their board examination, it does not mean that their brains are completely developed. So she explains to them and says, good question. I wish more parents asked so that counselors and psychologists could address behavioral problems in adolescents scientifically. Let me answer, Uttara said, smiling as she saw parents leaning across to take pen and paper to make notes. There is no need to make notes. I will give you xeroxes of some amazing research on teenagers after the meeting. Powerful, new, breakthrough technologies have enabled scientists to track the growth of the brain and to investigate the connections between brain function, development, and behavior. The research turned up some surprises. Among them, the discovery about the striking changes taking place during teen years. These findings have altered long-held theories about brain maturation. Primarily, the teen brain does not look like that of an adult until the early 20s. You mean a teen brain is underdeveloped? Mrs. Sondi asked, plainly shocked. No, it is not that their brain is underdeveloped. Uttara pulled an adolescent's brain, a work in progress by Weinberger, Alevag and Gide from the shelf near the table. This book highlights that the brain's wiring in the prefrontal cortex becomes complicated during adolescence. Major changes to the part of the brain that controls impulses, judgment, decision making, planning, and organization occur during this time. The prefrontal cortex does not mature until the age of 25, she explained, showing a diagram of the brain in the book. I would just like to focus on some of these words here. I hope everybody understands what an impulse is. आप समझते हैं इस शब्द को impulse? तो impulse और इंस्टिंक्टिव बिहेवियर में हमें थोड़ा फर्क जानना चाहिए. इंस्टिंक्टिव बिहेवियर क्या होता है? जिसे हम ना सोच के ना समझ के जब हम रिएक्ट करते हैं, वो एक इंस्टिंक्टिव बिहेवियर होता है. जैसे कि अगर आपको कोई मारने आ रहा है, कोई अटैक करने आ रहा है, तो आपका इंस्टिंक्ट रिएक्ट करेगा बिल्कुल जल्दी से और आपको वहां से हटाने की कोशिश करेगा. आप अपने आप को हटाने की कोशिश करोगे. अगर आपके आंख के सामने भी कुछ ऐसा आता है तो आपके आंख के जो आईलिड्स हैं जो वो झपकने लगते हैं. दैट इज इंस्टिंक्टिव. वो ऑटोमेटिकली एक फिजियोलॉजिकल रेस्पॉन्स होता है. इम्पल्स क्या होता है? इम्पल्स होता है जो आप रेस्पॉन्ड करते हो विदाउट थिंकिंग, रिएक्ट करते हो विदाउट थिंकिंग. वो एक इम्पल्स होता है. जैसे किसी ने आपको मान लो कि कुछ रूड कुछ कहा और आपने इमीडिएटली पलटकर जवाब दिया. सोचा नहीं कि मुझे कुछ बोलना चाहिए अभी या नहीं बोलना चाहिए. वो एक इम्पल्सिव रिएक्शन होता है. तो बच्चे जो हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा इम्पल्सिव होते हैं इस स्टेज में. तो इनका जो ब्रेन में जो पोर्शन इम्पल्सेस को कंट्रोल करता है, वो जैसे जैसे हम बड़े होते हैं वैसे वैसे वो ज्यादा काम करता है. आप देखोगे कि आप जब उम्र में ज्यादा बढ़ने लगते हैं तब आपका जजमेंट इंप्रूव होता है, आपका इम्पल्सिवनेस कम हो जाता है. आप झट से भागकर कुछ काम ऐसे नहीं करते हैं जो बचपन में या अपने एडोलेसेंस में करते थे. तो आप डिसीजन मेकिंग में, प्लानिंग में ज्यादा मेच्योरिटी दिखाने लगते हो उम्र के साथ. इसीलिए एक्सपीरियंस की वैल्यू होती है. सो ये जो एडोलेसेंस बच्चे हैं इनमें ये सारी चीजें अभी भी डेवलप हो रही है. तो हम कहते हैं ना ठंडे दिमाग से काम लो. ठंडे दिमाग का मतलब क्या होता है कि सोच समझ कर काम करो, ऐसे ही कुछ मत बोलो। अगर आपको कुछ बोलना भी है तो हमने आज सुबह ही मैंने एक सेशन लिया था, एक टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग का सेशन लिया था। उसमें एक लाइन था, रेस्पॉन्ड, डू नॉट रिएक्ट। तो जब हम रिएक्ट करते हैं, ऑल द टाइम वी आर डूइंग दैट विदाउट थिंकिंग। हम इसलिए करते हैं कि हम दिखाना चाहते हैं कि हमें पता है कि क्या आंसर है, और टीनेजर्स तो और भी ज्यादा दिखाना चाहेंगे कि हम सही हैं। तो वो ना सोचकर, ना समझकर जो एक्शंस करते हैं उसे इम्पल्सिव कहते हैं। तो मुझे लगा कि ये कुछ हैं जो हम लोगों ने एज टीचर समझ लेना चाहिए अच्छी तरह से। So teenagers are physiologically not equipped to think of the consequences of their decisions and are unable to control their impulse. Physiologically और psychologically दो अलग चीजें। Physiologically is what you are tuned to do by the formation of your physique, your body, biologically. And psychologically is when you are thinking in a certain way. So what Uttara is trying to make the parents understand is that the children are not tuned physiologically to be able to respond. They respond impulsively because their brains, or that portion of the brain, is still developing. All right? So teenagers are physiologically not equipped to think of the consequences of their decisions and are unable to control their impulses, asked Mr. Gairola, fascinated by the diagram in front of him. He must buy the book, he thought. Exactly. The fact that so much change is taking place in a teenager's brain is something teachers and parents should keep in mind during the ups and downs of these challenging years. Teenagers are often impulsive and illogical. They don't think twice before taking risks and experimenting. They tend to act without thought of impending consequences or penalties. And that is why we say that don't behave childishly. When an adult does something impulsively or immaturely, we say don't behave in a way that a child would behave. हम कहते हैं ना, बचकाने काम मत किया करो। तो इसीलिए हम कुछ चीजें एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं, वेर एज एडल्ट से हम कुछ चीजें जरूर उनसे हम आशा रखेंगे कि वो ऐसी चीजें ना करें। But they are not always irrational. They do make good decisions too, Mrs. Koo said, perplexed at so much contradiction in the behavior of her daughter, Patricia.
Brinda, you need help to read?
No, I'm okay.
Okay,
Not a
got some
problem.
water or something with you?
I'll have a sip of water
Yeah,
right
do
here.
that. I think you need a break. Throat must be drying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go to the next page. When things are calm, teenagers can be as rational as adults. But when there is a stressful situation, it can make them lose what Ron Dahl, a pediatrician and child psychiatric researcher, calls hot cognition. That is, the ability to assess an immediate situation correctly and consequently the ability to make good decisions, Uttara explained. So देखिए कितना सारा साइकोलॉजी हमको मिल रहा है एक किताब में जो एक कहानी की तरह लिखी गई है. But all teenagers don't behave that way. I can't imagine someone like Vartikanya or Rakhi, who are the same age and in the same class, behaving so foolishly as our children did, Mrs. Rathod said, wondering how her own child could have been so stupid. I'm glad we are on the right track. I can explain if you ask me questions. Genes, childhood experiences, and the environment in which a young person reaches adolescence all shape behavior. One can imagine how all these factors influence actions. It is especially complex in the context of a developing brain. This is what makes each teenager different. Uttara looked at the anxious faces in front of her. Okay? You all understand the meaning of the word jeans? अब इसको पहनने वाली जीन्स से नहीं कंफ्यूज करना. JEANS और GENES दोनों का प्रोनाउंसिएशन एक ही है, जीन्स. But ये
Brinda, but
वाली
we
jeans.
wear both the jeans. We wear
Yeah,
our jeans
we
and we
wear
wear
our
jeans.
jeans without wearing them. They're there within us. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other jeans is what we externally put on,
So
right?
what you're saying today is we wear jeans inside and outside.
Absolutely. We have them in and out. So how many of you, किसी को मतलब समझाना है जीन्स का? इसी शब्द से जेनेटिक्स
चलो
का.
देखते हैं कौन आपको जीन्स की कहानी सुनाएगा. What do
हाँ.
jeans help you think of?
Can anyone tell us what the word genes means to them?
Feel free to unmute, and if you have a
Yeah.
genetic experience, share with us.
May I?
Yeah,
Yes, of
please do.
course.
So genes are basically the inheritance which we get from our parents at
Hmm.
the time of our birth when we are born, and they basically characterize our maybe color of eyes, our features of our appearance. Yes, all sort of things. So that
Yes.
is why we
That's
look similar to our parents or our grandparents.
very right. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. Thank
Thank
So
you.
you.
Brinda, does the analogy of wearing jeans come here also? She's wearing her parents' jeans.
She is. She
Yeah,
is.
so if the analogy is there,
Yes, absolutely. It does. And, the genetic makeup we talk about. So, genetic or the science of studying the genes and genealogy is what genetics is all about, right?
Brinda, I'll
So,
give a very interesting example. As we
please
have
do.
some people here with us
Yeah.
at the retreat, when they were at the bookstore yesterday, they must have seen a picture. And some people think it's my picture, it's actually my dad's picture.
Oh, how interesting.
So it's someone said the other day, where is Mr. Dutt? I see his picture there. Is he okay? And that shook the guy on the desk. He says, but Mr. Dutt is here. He says, no, Mr. Dutt is here. He said, no, that's senior Mr. Dutt.
Yeah,
So
right.
talking about genes, there's so much of like in appearance, like Sri Himanshi beautifully explained, that I look so much like my dad that
Yes,
people think that's my picture in the bookstore. There's so much of strong resemblance.
absolutely.
So
In
that's
fact,
genes.
uh, often, my husband has said this, that Sandeep looks exactly like his father. I mean, besides the fact that the photograph is there, he has some memories of having seen your dad. And so
Yeah.
he says he looks exactly like him.
Even the
So
mole on the face, it's absolutely fascinating. The mole on the face is exactly on the same place where my father's mole was.
just imagine. Yeah. So आप सबको समझ में आ गया होगा जीन्स का, अब ये वाली जीन्स का मतलब, राइट? अगर कोई भी प्रश्न पूछना है, पूछ लीजिएगा, and then otherwise we will go ahead with our reading, right? Okay, so one can imagine how all these factors influence actions. It is especially complex in the context of a developing brain. This is what makes each teenager different. Uttara looked at the anxious faces in front of her. Teenagers react strangely sometimes and overreact often because they are different from adults in the context of ongoing brain development, Roma added. Uttara nodded. The frontal lobe, often called the CEO or the executive brain, controls things like planning, strategy, and organizing. It controls where, when, and for how long attention is focused. This part of the brain separates man from beast. Researchers assume that in the teen years, this part of the brain is still developing. It is not that the teens are stupid or incapable of making right decisions. It is just that their brains have not fully matured yet. True, they do react strangely sometimes, said Mrs. Sondi, recalling Simmi's frequent arguments. Simmi told me she went to the club because she dislikes being at home with Shantabai. It's my fault that I have had to leave her alone so often. So I have had to leave her so often, and she hates me for that. Keep in mind that these problems are connected to the to the wiring of a teenager's brain. They answer back and immediately regret it in the next moment. Most of the time, they mean something else. Generally, teens have not mastered communication skills, so they sound offensive and obnoxious or unreasonable. The problem is they are not able to suitably express what they feel. When Simi says, I hate you, what she really means is, I don't like being left alone, or I miss you, Roma explained sympathetically to Mrs. Sondi. Look at the beautiful way in which both these adults, the teachers in the school, have handled this issue. Not for a minute are they making the parents feel guilty or saying anything to upset the teachers. And they very, very maturedly, they are handling this particular difficult situations, right? Situation. Okay. That makes me feel so much better, Miss Roma. Teen rebellion is very distressing for parents, responded Mrs. Sondi. True, teen rebellion is extremely distressing. Many teenagers resort to rebellion to express independence, to get freedom from the oppressive 24/7 rules imposed upon them by parents and teachers. And they do this by answering back, bunking classes, experimenting with drugs and alcohol, etc. Some may consider this normal teen behavior, but many teenagers are able to overcome this phase successfully under the careful supervision of adults, Uttara said. But Patricia never argues at home. We spent most of her childhood in Paris, and she enjoys a lot of freedom at home. I simply cannot understand why she could not tell us she wanted to go to the club, Mrs. Koo said sadly. In the case of teenagers like Patricia, rebellion occurs because they have an uncontrollable urge to please their peer group at any cost. In teenagers with low self esteem, this urge is intense. Patricia is looking for acceptance from Supriya and Simi because she wants to be a part of the Sizzlers, said Roma, thinking how hard Patricia worked to please Supriya and Simi every day. But why alcohol? I know boys drink under peer pressure, but why does a girl need to? I still find it impossible to believe my daughter sat in that club and drank beer, Mr. Gairola said, wondering where he had gone wrong in his daughter's upbringing. So here you see the gender bias also being brought in. Okay, so why is it that the boys would get a certain acceptance and why not the girls? And let me tell you, girls are no different from boys. And I came to realize this when I went into an all-girls school. Until then, I had only taught in a co-ed school. But when I went to teach in an all-girls school, then I realized that the girls are up to all kinds of mischief, just as the boys are, and sometimes even more. And very often, it is easier to deal with the boys than it is with the girls at this age, because the girls, when they do something, it's deeper, and a lot of thought also goes into doing it. This has been my experience. I don't know if everybody would agree over here, but मैंने देखा है कि लड़कियां भी, और क्यों ना करें, of course that is the thought today, लेकिन ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है जो सिर्फ लड़के ही करते हैं और लड़कियां नहीं कर सकती हैं, या नहीं करनी चाहिए लड़कियों को। ये हमारे समाज की सोच है। तो उस सोच के अकॉर्डिंग मिस्टर गैरोला कहते हैं कि मैंने नहीं सोचा था कि लड़कियां भी ऐसा काम करेंगी, लड़के तो करते ही हैं। So he's all
Brinda, the
right
next
with that.
paragraph, I said the next paragraph will testify what you are saying.
Yes,
Just read the next paragraph.
absolutely. While adolescent boys are more likely to use alcohol to cope with dwindling self worth, girls use it to maintain high self
I
worth
Sepworth.
gained from their social interactions, right? So for the girls, it's like a status symbol that, I also do this. And today it is more girls who drink. I think, bear me, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I see particularly in the NCR, at least I see this, that there are more girls who smoke openly, publicly, and more girls who can be found at pubs than young men. So it is, in the case of girls today, it is a stage of rebellion. All right. So it's like, all right, all these days, there was just no acceptance publicly, but today there is. So there's an overdoing of it. Sandeep, you
Brinda,
want to say something?
this is the next stage after feminism in society. So if you
Hmm.
look back the last 50 years, पहले पर्दा था।
Hmm.
पर्दा दोनों तरफ था, मैं किसी इज्म की बात नहीं कर रहा, पर्दा
Yeah,
मेंट पर्दा। आई एम टेकिंग पर्दा वेरी
yes,
सिंपलिस्टिक टर्म।
absolutely. Yeah.
तो पहले पर्दा था, फिर हमने देखा पर्दे के पीछे क्या है, और जब वो स्टेज चली गई तो हमें जब आंखें खुली तो हमने सोचा हमने बहुत कुछ खो दिया।
हाँ,
और नाउ अब वो स्टेज आ गई है, क्योंकि खो दिया तो हमको इतनी फास्ट जाना है कि हमको कुछ करके दिखाना। So
बिल्कुल.
this is the phase we are in
So
today.
it's the other extreme.
Absolutely. So that's
Yeah.
why I want to read this para if you allow me.
Yeah,
While
please do.
adolescent boys are more likely to use alcohol to to cope with dwindling self-worth, girls use it to maintain high self-worth
High
gained
self
from
worth.
the social interaction. So this is the whole story of last 50 years, where they think
Absolutely.
this is self-worth. It's like you said about smoking,
Yeah.
and a lot of professional girls smoke. Sorry, with due
Yes.
regard to them today, simply because they feel that this is their self-worth, which they can
Yeah.
establish. They can do
Absolutely.
things better than the guys. They can race a bike faster. They can climb mountains. I've had girls climb mountains I couldn't climb. I went mountain
Hmm.
climbing with girls. So it's, and we have to agree. We have to agree that the feminine gender is the stronger gender,
Of course,
and there is no,
physiologically,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely, and we
Hmm.
have to accept that. Now, because it is a stronger gender, that is why, like you so beautifully said, they do think with very deep thought,
Yes.
and their scheme of things is very deep. Whether you see films like Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, or whatever the strategy that goes on, the men are such beguile, and they're such fools, they can't even figure out the depth of the mind of a woman.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And that's what we are seeing in this. And when Mr. Gairola says, I can't believe that this is boys, Mr. Gairola is still like a goof like me who sort of can't figure out what's happening. Over to
Don't
you.
talk like that. You're a father of two girls.
Yeah, my
Two
girls will zap
beautiful
me anyway.
girls.
They'll tell me, you sleep, we are going out.
Yeah, right.
For
So,
example.
for example, girls are typically active on social networking sites. Unfortunately, if drinking plays a large part among those they are interacting with, girls are likely to drink too. So that is the status symbol I was saying, right? So they have to keep up with the Joneses. If somebody is doing it, they have to do it too. So are you saying teenagers drink to increase their self-worth? Mrs. Sondi asked in unbelieving astonishment. Not always. Many adolescents who don't drink have high self worth gained from strong family support, Uttara said, and then told them about Tarini. How strong family support can help a teenager cope with the pressures of adolescence can be understood from Tarini's story. Last week, Tarini, a 10th grader, told me that her parents had offered her an adult drink on her birthday, but it didn't taste good at all. Mrs. Koo laughed, shaking her head. Today's teenagers are so lucky to have counselors in school. Just imagine discussing something like this with a teacher when we were young. The others nodded in dry agreement. True, Mrs. Koo. We didn't have counselors when we were in school, and it was unimaginable discussing something so personal with a teacher. But times have changed. So, as I was saying, one's 16th birthday is special in a teenager's life and brings with it a special feeling of being on the threshold of adulthood. Tarini had been teased by her friends that her birthday would be celebrated with the usual cake cutting and coke. For heaven's sake, Tarini, you are 16, not 12. Tarini had confided her embarrassment to her parents at never having tasted alcohol. She wanted tequila on her 16th birthday, not coke. So, जिन्हें नहीं पता है, टकीला एक तरीके का ड्रिंक होता है जिसको शॉट्स में पीते हैं, थोड़ा सा एक साथ में गटक लेते हैं. ये आजकल के यंगस्टर्स खूब इसे लेते हैं, राइट? How awful for the parents. They must have said no, Mrs. Rathod said. They tried saying no, but no persuasion worked. Finally, Tarini was given permission to have one tequila shot on her birthday. Her parents arranged a private birthday party for her at a Thai restaurant, and all 4 members of the family had lifted their glasses in a toast to the youngest on their 16th birthday. Wildly excited, she giggled all through the meal. By the time Tarini scooped up the last portion of her Tim Grob dessert, she had already spoken on the mobile to 2 of her best friends, telling them what a great time she was having with her family, celebrating the best birthday ever, like an adult. She also confided that though she had had the famous tequila, it wasn't a big deal. It was made out to be. It was kind of okay. Her family smiled at the casual conversation with its adult wisdom quotient. Parental support had won over peer pressure, Uttara ended. Smart parents, Mrs. Koo said. I must say the school is doing amazing work by dealing with these problems scientifically. 5 years ago, our girls would have been suspended, stated Mrs. Rathod positively. All right, we're going to stop here. It's time, it's 3:45. But if there are any thoughts or any questions, it'll be nice to take it now at this stage. किसी को कुछ पूछना है, कहना है, कुछ शेयर करना है, please do that. It would be nice to hear from those who are on the retreat, their thoughts on the book.
May I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, if you encountered any girl like that in your
Hmm.
school, or what would you do?
So, if you encountered was your question, I did, and not one,
Okay.
but more than one.
All
And
right.
we had to deal with it. And I'm talking about 25 years ago. I'm not talking about today. Okay. Today, it's even more common. And 25 years ago, in an all-girls school, I have encountered this more than once. And we dealt with it very smartly because we believed that talking and counseling was the only solution. And the worst thing would be to suspend a child from school, because suspension is like going on a holiday. So the decision taken by the staff collectively was that don't suspend them. Keep them in school and let them miss their outings. That's the worst punishment that a boarding school child can get, right? So this happened in a boarding school, and the children they weren't sent out for any of their outings for over a period of time. So what happens is that this becomes really a time for reflection and for feeling guilty about what they've done, feeling sorry about what they've done. But times have changed so much. Today, even in day schools, we find a lot of things happening. We are constantly searching bags to look for so many things. There's vape, which is doing the rounds today, and it's something which can be smuggled into the school so easily because you don't even know what a vape looks like. I didn't know what a vape looked like until we confiscated one, right? So and this is considered to be such a harmless thing, but it isn't. It's as harmful as a cigarette is, right? So we do have instances when children do all these things. We have to all the time try and outsmart them.
All right.
Brinda,
Thank you,
I can
ma'am.
add something to that.
Yes.
I think that was a very fascinating question. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
And having possibly as much experience as you have, and been with children not always in the confines of the class, been in even more challenging environments than the
Mm.
classroom. So my experience goes that there's so much energy in the teenagers, you need to find ways and means to absorb that,
Channelize it. Yeah.
channelize that. So if you're able to do that, that's the simplest way to overcome this devil's mind or devil's
Yes.
advocate. So my message to teachers is, first, your relationship should be horizontal, particularly with the teenagers. And that's the biggest takeaway in right versus wrong in Roma's work. So Roma's relationship is with those four girls is very unique. The Sizzlers, as the girl calls them, is the gang of school who think they are no end to themselves. And Roma understands that. And that's why she doesn't go in a way to reprimand them, but she scaffolds, holds hands, and helps them understand what they are doing is perhaps not the right thing. And I think that is the only way. If you see this example of the family telling the girl, okay, have a drink. So the whole story about drinking unknowingly vanishes. There is no charm left in that child to go drink because her dad said, okay, 16th birthday, have a drink. So that shows the level of confidence. And that's why what you so beautifully said, that times have changed and we are so lucky that we are in times where we can counsel. And that is the biggest takeaway from this entire book. This book is a career counselor book, by the way. And you mentioned somewhere that Uttara is one of the most powerful kiradars, actors in this book or in the film. And talking of reflection, I must tell everyone कि आप लोगों को ये सब चीज अपनी जिंदगी में देखनी है और हमको बताना है कि आपने इसका सामना कैसे किया. ये अच्छा सवाल था किसी ने जो पूछा कि आप आज की तारीख में कैसा करेंगे. तो इसलिए हम आपसे भी सुनना चाहेंगे कि आपकी कहानी क्या है. और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज सैटरडे की ये है कि आपके रिफ्लेक्शन आने चाहिए. पिछले हफ्ते हमें कुछ रिफ्लेक्शन आए, वृंदा, हमारे पास हिंदी में भी आए, इंग्लिश में भी आए. और आपने देखा, आपने दो रिफ्लेक्शन पढ़े थे, व्हाट्सएप में भी आए. तो इसलिए आपके माइंड में जो भी थॉट आती है, जो भी सवाल आता है, जिगर जिगर दिखाइए, दिल दिखाइए और पूछिए. बिकॉज तभी हम आगे चल पाएंगे. और ये मेरी आपसे गुजारिश है सेशन के क्लोज पे कि प्लीज सोचिए. आप रिफ्लेक्शन करेंगे तो आप बेहतर टीचर बनेंगे और आपकी रिलेशनशिप आपसे ही इंप्रूव होगी. दूर की बात तो भूल जाइए. जब तक आपकी रिलेशनशिप आपने आप से नहीं बनेगी, बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग से नहीं बनेगी, तो आप अच्छे टीचर नहीं बन पाएंगे. थैंक यू Brinda for giving me these 2
Thank you.
minutes.
Thank you, Sandeep, for adding that perspective.
Yeah, I'll share the
So,
bookmark. I have taken it
yeah,
down. And
right.
sorry, Sneha, we couldn't have you do
Yeah.
your work today. And I'm sorry I bullied coming into the session and participating.
But I'm
But
sure
I
she
thought,
enjoyed the reading, but
yeah, yeah.
Thank
because
you.
she's been part of the book
No,
reading, and
she's
she
such
would.
an asset to us. I
Yes.
publicly adore her, let me tell you. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah,
find such clear headed young people interns. You
absolutely.
should see her the way she goes about the bookstore. And
Right.
she's a fine example of a living intern we have in our system. She likes
Wonderful.
calling herself fellow now, but I call her intern. The only difference is fellows get some pocket money, so she feels she's become senior. But for us,
Right.
she'll always remain an intern. On that note, thank you everybody, and
Thank
we hope
you.
you can send us more interns to work with us. We promise
Absolutely.
you we'll make their life better.
Yes,
Brinda,
sir.
Absolutely right.
before we go, a little update from what we are doing currently, which I thought will interest all the teachers. Yesterday we had a meeting of an introduction with the new team which came from Gyananand Vidyalay. It was
Yeah.
wonderful meeting the three teachers. And then what I admired most, which is the call of duty, one teacher brought her two children along and her husband along as babysitter,
Oh, how sweet.
which I thought was the ultimate call of duty.
Right.
She
Yeah.
didn't say
That
no
is
to the
really
school.
nice.
She
Yeah.
didn't say no to, and she went a step further. She told her husband, "You will drive the car and take two teachers along also." So I think this is the passion our teachers have. And
Wonderful.
I think with this kind of commitment, this one example I wanted to give. I mean, the person is here. I'm sure she's blushing. Thank you for that. That's one. Secondly, we heard this story about what they do at Gyananand Vidyalay, and we found very promising young people who have become teachers. In
All
fact, two are
right.
fresh grads who have come for the training. So that's
Right.
fantastic. It's belief in the teaching profession. A
Yeah.
day before that, we had a pre-event meeting with the financial literacy team and the food literacy team.
Hmm.
So you may have noticed some headline in the WhatsApp somewhere about the
Yeah.
literacy project. So literacy project is making uh, good steps. We have identified four venues where we will host the first phase of the literary project in the first quarter. We are going to Baliya on 4th of July. I hope some teachers here. We are going to Jammu on the 9th of July. And we are following up with Gyan Anant Vidyalay and Ranchi in September. So you should get ready to go to Ranchi in September. You
Yes,
should
I
go.
would love to do
And the
that. And
structure of this workshop is
I
very
will,
simple.
before you do that, I mean, I will definitely go to Gyan Anand Vidyalay,
Yes.
and you can share my number with one of these teachers who has come. And if they get in touch with me, I would love to visit them.
Yeah, I'll do
That
that.
would be
I will
lovely.
write a note to Shalini, who comes regularly, the vice
Right.
principal,
Yeah.
who's helping us coordinate. I'll definitely do that. So, as of now, the literacy project will be 6 hours in a school. 1.5 hours will be work for financial literacy. One and a
Wonderful.
half hours will be work for food literacy. 45 minutes will be your and my work, which means
Right.
one GSA ambassador will go and do 45 minutes of work. And then the last few minutes will be to knit everything together as to why food literacy, why financial literacy, and why GSA are working together to empower teachers for a better tomorrow.
Wonderful.
And then we'll follow up with online sessions on human edge in AI. So
Right.
literacy project comprises three parts: food, finance, and human
And
edge in
human
AI.
age.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
the human edge bit we'll do via Zoom. For that, we
Right.
can't just do it in a 45-minute session.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
establish the human edge on Zoom, but the other two things will happen on the ground. And the teachers here have just got I can say, a trailer of the financial literacy project. So thank you so much. And we hope more schools can join us. Thank you, Akriti. We love you for the way you are doing things at PYDS. We have Pratiksha from PYDS. Is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Pratiksha
sir.
Dimman is
Yeah.
there.
Thank
Yes.
you so much, Pratiksha. We are so happy to be, what I say, in the shade of PYDS, because PYDS is higher in altitude than us. हम उनकी छाँव में बैठे हैं, and God bless them for giving us the shade and the light. Thank you, everyone. On that note, we
Thank
will see
you.
you next
Thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you,
And if
Yes.
sir.
someone wants to join, I'm back at 5:30 with the art of being happy. So
Right.
welcome at
Right.
5:30. I'll be back on the radio. Take care till
Thank
then.
you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, everybody. See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye bye.